Merry Meet. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are working a psalm spell today, and we are working on Psalm number 2. Now, this is actually one of the cursing psalms, so yes, we're going to curse today. It's always fun to get our cursing juices flowing. And the way we do curses is very specific. We don't curse people, we curse thought forms. Right? So even if some person is causing us problems, we recognize that that's a manifestation of an inner thought form. And we take responsibility for our thought forms. And through cursing, we purify those thought forms. Okay? So this is a spell to destroy your enemies. So let's recognize that our enemies are always inner enemies, and that our enemies are always of our own household and of our own making. Okay, so even if we have external enemies as people, we are not cursing those people, because that does nothing except for enshroud us in more conflict in the future. But if we curse things on the internal planes properly, then we put to rest all those patterns. Okay, and so the way we work this spell is very simple. We take the psalm and we read it out loud all the way through once without stopping. And then we go back through the psalm and we dig and hunt and find the inner meanings in every verse. We go verse by verse, sometimes line by line, and sometimes even word by word, and find those inner meanings. We contemplate those inner meanings. We search and we dig. And through all of that searching, digging, and contemplating, we are actually taking those magical seeds which we discover within the Psalms and planting them deeply in our mind. And there they actually take root and they grow and they bear fruit after their kind. And this happens in a very, very real way. And so let's do that together, shall we? And so here we go with Psalm number 2. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointing, saying, Let us break their bands asunder, and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree the Lord had said to me, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, and shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. All right, well, this is quite the psalm. So let's go through it one by one, and just maybe call to mind some of those inner enemies, whether or not they have a counterpart in the physical. So any of your fears, any of your self-destructive tendencies, any of those things. So it says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? So this is a rhetorical question. The heathen are those thought forms within you that are errant, that are without discipline, that are destructive, that are self-destructive, and that are disorganized thoughts. So when we imagine vain things, vain imaginings are any time that we are trying to think separately from God. And when we say God, we're not talking about a deity. We're talking about the principle of life itself, that which is beating our heart, infinite life. Okay, so when we try to think separately from the infinite intelligence through which we are created, out of which we are created, that's vain. And those vain imaginings then create experiences in our lives which are less than perfect, which are less than holy. So we are responsible for what we imagine. The kings of the earth set themselves, and their rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed. Okay, so let's just take this first part. The kings of the earth. Who are the kings of the earth? Well, the kings of the earth for us are anything within the world wherein we are declaring ownership. We are declaring rulership. So the kings of the earth are those places. The earth represents manifest situations. So the kings of the earth are all manifest situations in our life. And in this particular case, that are reflecting those inner enemies. So these are manifestations of the things which we are addressing here, which are those enemies. So it doesn't necessarily have to be people, although it can be people, it can include people, but it can be situations, manifestations. So the kings of the earth are the manifestations, the ownership of those things. They set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. So those thought forms, those ideas that are crystallized into those experiences, very clearly stated here, they do not have our best interests at heart. We do not know our best interests. Our thought forms, our errant thought forms, our vain imaginings are those thought forms which we have put into motion that are our own self-destruction. They are they are self-loathing. So it's our own imagination turned against ourselves. So that those are those inner enemies. We have created those ourselves. So we're taking responsibility for uncreating them now, or asking, because we don't have the power to uncreate them, because we're too good at creating. We don't know what to do now. We've created such messes for ourselves. Well, good for us that infinite intelligence, or as it's called in the Psalms, the Lord knows how to deliver us, knows how to undo those problems that we've created for ourselves. And so that's what we are here to do today. Now, this is again these errant thought forms are the ones that are trying to destroy us. And a lot of times they will manifest as situations or people, and then we think they are out to get us. No, we are out to get us, and we want to stop that. Then shall he speak unto them his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. Okay, so, I'm sorry, I just cast one. What did I do? I just missed one. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. So he that sitteth in the heavens is just the concept of infinite intelligence, our infinite source. And it says that he shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. So the idea that the Lord is mocking us is a poetic method of putting into context that everything that we come up with on our own is at best silly to infinite intelligence, right? And in reality is non-existent, doesn't even recognize what we're talking about. But God knows that we're upset. God knows that we're in torment. But we're only in torment because of dreams that we are creating, illusions that we are creating, nightmares that we are creating. And so God obviously is not laughing at us going, oh, look at that fool. The derision is a poetic device that is showing how different life is from God's point of view versus from our point of view when it comes to these problems. Then he shall speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. And that's how things look from the point of view of darkness. When light comes in, it looks like they're being attacked. You know, darkness feels attacked by light. But it's not that light is attacking darkness, it's that light is being light, and darkness can't exist within the presence of light. And so these hexes are really nothing more than turning on the light and recognizing that those dark forces don't really even exist. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. Okay, so now when God sets his king, meaning the king, now you can go from either point of view here, because many people have a different ways of interpreting this. But on one hand, God sets his king on the holy hill of Zion, meaning that the ruler of the earth is man, meaning man and women. It's not gender-based. Humanity itself is the king of the earth. We're supposed to have ruler over the earth, but only to the degree that we are existing on the holy hill of Zion, which is our higher self. That's our higher self, not these vain imaginings. The way that we take rulership of the earth, the way that we come into our kingship, is by recognizing that we exist on the holy hill of Zion, which is our true self, our higher self, the self that, as God created us to be, our perfect self. That's who we are as an oversoul, as a humanity. Okay. Where is this? Okay, I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. Okay, so when God says, you are my son, again, these were written by a patriarchal people, so everything is in the masculine pronoun, but that's not what is being stated here. What is being stated is, you are my child. You are my creation. I created you perfectly. I love you exactly as I created you. I did not make a mistake. I did not mess up with you. And so that's what being God's son is. I created you the way you are, and not the way you've imagined yourself to be. And it says, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Now, when he's saying giving you the heathens, that means when you are in a war and you are a victor of a war, you get the spoils of war. So when God is giving you the heathens and the uppermost part of the earth, what God is saying is that you already have a right to everything. I already gave you everything. So all of that stuff that those negative thoughts are stealing from you, I'm giving it back to you and then some. So you don't have to worry about being compensated. You don't have to worry about it, making sure that you have your inheritance. That's already dialed in. That's already given you. All we have to do is allow the light to destroy the darkness on our behalf, and then we can accept that inheritance, which is already ours. Thou shalt break them with the rod of iron, and thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Okay, so that's just the dramatic way of these Psalms of talking about what happens to darkness in the presence of light. It's not that light is attacking the darkness. Light by its very essence is the antithesis, is the undoing of darkness, because darkness has no principle unto itself. Darkness is a shadowing of a principle. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth. So be wise, be instructed, listen, sit and listen. Allow yourselves, you're being taught here, to allow yourself to quiet your mind, to close your eyes, to go within and to listen to direction from that peaceful part of yourself, rather than allowing the heathen in your mind to take you around and around and around and around and keep you distracted by all those vain imaginings. Now, it's very important to understand that when we say heathen, we are not talking about people who identify religiously as heathen. That's not what's being discussed here. This is a specific term used in the Bible, and the way that what it means magically is, in the Psalms anyway, is errant thought forms. Be wise now, therefore. I already talked about that. Okay, serve the Lord with fear, with rejoicing, with trembling. So fear and trembling means respect, recognizing your role. You and God are the same fabric, but God created you. You didn't create God. You're the creation. God is the author. Since God is author, that gives God authority. So you don't want to assume authority for yourself, because all that does is make you stressed out. You want to give God the authority, and you want to receive. You want to be the feminine. You want to receive God's will, and then then happiness is assured because you're functioning the way you were created to function. So that's how you serve the Lord: with fear, rejoice, and with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are they that put their trust in him. So the Son in this case, is again, it's your soul. It's your higher self. It's the part of you that's already existing as the truth, the part of you that exists free of all of your vain imaginings. So kissing the Son, lest he be angry and perish, and ye perish from the way. That's very, it's very psalmy to say that, because your soul is not going to be angry. The oversoul of the earth is not going to be angry. The Son of Man is not going to be angry, because that's against it's against its nature. But it can appear that this much light is angry when it reacts to when the darkness reacts to the light. That's how it can appear. So the wrath being kindled just a little recognition, just having the light looking at the darkness, just a teeny bit is enough for that darkness to get that it's on its way out. And so that can be interpreted as wrath, especially if you are at all identifying yourself with those darknesses. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. So you want to put your trust in your higher self, in your superconscious mind, not in your ego mind. All right, so that's how we work this spell. And you just keep coming back to the psalm again and again, and until you see a definite movement in the right direction. So it's always good to have very specific things that you're working on with these psalms. That way you can tell when your spell is working, because you get results that are definite because your goal was definite. All right, well, this has been amazing. I cannot wait to work with you again. And until that time, blessed be.